July 1986, and its regulations of January 2000, the Wellfleet Conservation Commission will hold public hearings on Wednesday, July 7th, 2021 at 5 p.m. with the business meeting starting at 4 via remote meeting. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's orders imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, no in-person attendance of the members of the public will be permitted at this meeting. Town Hall is closed to the public, and the board members will participate in this meeting remotely. So said business meeting is now begun.
Do you want to call the roll?
Yes, we have Mike Fisher and Benjamin Fairbank and John Kumbler and Leon Shreves. So we have 4 of the 7 members we need, which is enough for a quorum. Okay, let's just work our way down the, does anybody have anything they want to talk about that's not on the agenda that, yes, John? I can't hear you, you're muted.
I'd like to talk about the tent at the country club.
Okay, all right. We'll get that in
When
there.
it's appropriate, I can.
All right, so you just, yeah, we'll slip that in after the 25 Crest Avenue discussion, okay?
Yep.
Okay, did we get any mail? Who would know? Hillary? Still?
Nope, I don't think we have any mail to talk about.
Okay, no mail. Great. And then chapter 91 of general laws, section 10A, permitting temporary moorings.
So
wanna-
this, yep, I wanted just to put that on there because at our last meeting, we had talked about a dock that had gone in on Gull Pond. And so we went out and looked at that, and we've been in touch with the property owner. And when I spoke with the property owner, he informed me that he had talked to the harbor master, and the harbor master said that these things are okay. So we dove a little bit deeper because we had another dock that was going in on Long Pond, and that was going to require a Chapter 91 license. So we reached out to the Chapter 91 office, and I sent you all the email that they shared with me. Did you all get that?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like if docks meet a certain criteria, then they can, I'm just going to stop sharing this so I can pull up that email so we just all have it in front of us. If it's seasonal, is not permanent in its installation on the bottom, and is of a particular size, then they can be permitted by the harbor master. So I wanted to touch base with the commission and see how you felt or what you thought was an appropriate permitting measure through the Conservation Commission for these structures, because the one that was in question, the property owner did reach out to the harbor master, and the harbor master said it was fine. So do you feel like these types of seasonal structures, could we permit them on a request for determination? Do you want to see a notice of intent? Do you want to see a jurisdictional opinion? What type of application would you like to see?
Can I first ask a question about
Yeah.
the rules? It says there's a fee if the town sets one.
Yes.
Have we set one?
No, the Conservation Commission has not set one, and I do not believe the harbor master has set one either. Will and I had talked before the summer about getting together this winter and, you know, devising a plan that we could pass out to people that wanted to have one of these structures. So we have not set a fee, and quite frankly, we haven't even discussed it together yet. I did share this correspondence with him, so he is aware of it.
The only thought would be not for the money, but for the sake of keeping track in the records. If they have to annually renew it, that would be a factor. The second point is, it says that the owner has to own the bottom where the mooring is. And I understood that the Great Ponds, there's what, 3 different owners? The Park Service owns the bottom, the state owns the water, and the owners own the shore or something like that?
Yes, that's correct.
So they would have to get Park Service approval if it's a great pond and they're on Park Service bottom.
Well, let me think that through and have another read of this. So it says, notwithstanding any contrary provision of law, the harbor master, city and town may authorize by permit the mooring on a temporary basis of floats or rafts held by anchors or bottom moorings within the territorial jurisdiction of such city or town upon such terms.
Yeah, I was thinking more the line that says nothing in this section and ends with other than the applicant if objected to by the owner or owners thereof.
So nothing in this.
So that's the flat. That's the bottom, I think.
Placement of floats or rafts and anchors or bottom moorings on private flats of other than the, oh, so unless it's, I think that would be unless it is the jurisdiction of the city or town upon such.
Or the Department of the Interior.
Yeah, I think maybe we could pose that question to Lauren about the moorings, because I guess I'm a little bit foggy on the seashore owns the bottom. I'm not 100% on that.
Okay, I think it's only Great Ponds, but someone explained to me, and there were multiple owners for the same area. It's just different levels.
So I will delve deeper into that and see who owns which pieces of the pond, and we'll see how to go from there. But provided we can issue a removable seasonal small structure, what is the application you'd want to see?
Well, first of all, do we supersede the harbor master, or does his okay supersede us?
Well, so that's where it gets interesting. I think we don't have to take jurisdiction over this if the harbor master is looking at the area and going out and seeing where these things are going. But I think in our case, we need to at least be notified, because otherwise we don't know what's going where. And the harbor master might not be as in tune with submerged aquatic vegetation as the Conservation Commission. So on a replacement, I think it's okay to just notify us, but on something new or something larger, I think we want to be able to weigh in. That's why, I think I would suggest maybe an RDA or a jurisdictional opinion, some minor form, because we know these things aren't going to stay in the winter, and we want to be able to have record of them so we can check on that. And we want to also contemplate the winter storage location of them, because the areas around the ponds are so sensitive. So I guess I'm almost thinking the RDA form would seem more reasonable, just because that is a formal application and we can put conditions on it, and it does get noticed in the paper. So if the park had a comment, they could, comment if they saw fit. So I think I would recommend the RDA, but I just want to make sure you're all in line with that.
Yeah, I think an RDA is good for me. How about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely an RDA, but I think we have to be very careful here, because I think once we start seeing these things appear once or twice, then they're going to multiply like rabbits. And I respect the harbor master, but I think he has a different charge. I mean, the harbor master concern is to make sure these are safe. They don't go drifting around, running into other structures in the water. They don't sink to the bottom. While our jurisdiction is, and our interest is the natural environment, what it means for the the aquatic life on the bottom of the pond, but also on the shoreline. And I just think we have to be very careful. I think these things, you know, we have very few of them in the ponds.
Mhm.
And I think what happens when the fact that they're seasonal, the advantage of that is they're taken off of the ponds. The disadvantage is they're put somewhere and most likely on the shore. So I'm not excited about seeing any new structures in our ponds. So the most restriction we can have, and I definitely think that the harbor master and the Conservation Commission have two different agendas here. So neither one should be subordinate to the other.
So this is where I think our winter discussion with will come into place so that we can express to him what our concerns are, and we can have an established process that we follow. So maybe the process is it comes to the Conservation Commission first, and then it goes to Will on a new dock, because I have a feeling we don't see too many of them, but if we did, we're going to want to get out there and see what kind of vegetation is on the bottom, because that's the concern, right? So
Right. The other issue is there's a ramp coming from the shore going out, then it's certainly within our jurisdiction because it would be a wetland area that's being covered by the ramp.
mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think we have, I'm sorry, Michael.
I was just going to say maybe there would be two levels, one a simple floating dock and another one that's attached to the shore.
John? Go
Yeah,
ahead,
I
John.
think the reason I think we have to be very careful about this is a lot of those properties are now being sold to people who are not necessarily local residents or connected to the local community. And they're buying a house on the pond and they immediately say, gee, wouldn't it be nice if we had a dock out here where we could put a boat or, have our packs? And then the impact of that just is significantly more than what is there now. So I think we have to be very careful that we don't find ourselves fighting people who have already put docks in.
Yes, I hear you and I understand, and I think we do need to engage with Will, and just devise a path forward and know that the Conservation Commission does have some jurisdiction as well as the harbor master, and we can work together to get the best outcome for all of us. So I think,
And I definitely think we need the park involved.
yeah, I can loop Lauren in and she can put us in touch with the right person. I do see Patrick Mercer on here. Patrick, did you want to talk or do you want to just hold tight? Pat?
Sounds
Pat-
like he wants to hold tight.
Yeah, he may be on mute, but Patrick is the property owner of the dock on Gull Pond. And when I spoke with him, after we sent the letter, he did inform me that the harbor master said that the dock was fine. So he didn't know that an application was needed with the Conservation Commission. And so he and I have been in discussions about what to do and how to move forward. So I'll just continue that offline with Pat.
Can we also make sure that there's a paper trail, that the harbor master doesn't just say okay on the phone, but actually write something down?
I think he just says okay on the phone, to the best of my knowledge, but I will follow up with the Will tomorrow and see what that process is that he is using.
Thank you.
Before we continue, is Benjamin still on the call?
Oh,
Because if
No.
he's not, we
no,
don't have a quorum.
no, I don't see him here, so
Yeah.
looks like we have to hold tight until he returns. Do we know when we lost him?
I didn't see him during any of this conversation, but we were going back and forth between shared screens where you get a truncated view of the participants.
I saw him come in at the beginning. Yeah, let me see if I can send him a text.
It will be nice when we don't have these technical problems anymore.
Well, we'll still have quorum difficulties despite
Yeah.
technical problems.
We'll just
Well,
have
it's
people
harder.
problems.
It's harder to slip out of a room than to drop out of a Zoom.
Yes, true, true, true. All right, I'm texting him. All right, stay tuned. Let's see what happens.
It's probably going to be a omnipresent problem during the summer.
Yeah. So Leon, did you get to see the property you were looking at?
Which property?
I don't know. When
This
I ran
morning?
into this morning.
No,
yeah.
no. I went to my property and worked with the contractors for a few hours.
How is Orleans?
Pardon me?
I was living in Orleans.
Well, it's a suburb, but we have a wetland in our backyard, which is really great. I mean, the place is loaded with rabbits and fox and birds. At 4 a.m, it sounds like you're in the jungle because they've been here, unmolested for 3 or 4 years. So they own the property as far as they're concerned.
What are the mosquitoes like in Orleans?
Actually, it's a lot, even with a wetland in the back, it's a lot less than Wellfleet's experiencing because we don't have those long range black and white ones that
Oh, God.
breed in brackish water and fly 2 miles to bite you. Now around here, we haven't really had much problem at all.
John, while we're here waiting, your plans for Nova Scotia?
I think August. We'll go up in August.
Can you Zoom from there?
No, we don't have any internet service up there. So I'm going to be, I think I'm okay the first meeting in August. It's the second one I think I'll miss. I'll definitely miss unless
Well,
they shut the border down again.
I think the 18th we were going to not meet anyway, so that the first one would be the 4th.
I think I'm okay the 4th.
Well, that's
Okay.
good.
Good.
Hi, Hillary. Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
So this is Pat Mercer, and
Oh, hi,
I was having trouble figuring out how to unmute myself. And I just wanted to clarify when I did speak to Will about our floating dock, he didn't say it was okay. He just said that they didn't have a process in place to permit it.
Okay, sorry.
Because there was a letter that went around to the Gull Pond residents saying, talking about tying your boats to a permitted floating dock. So I went to see Will about a permit. He said there was no process in place, but he was in touch with conservation. He suggested they hold off until the fall at another meeting and try to set something up for next year. So basically he said, just do what you've been doing and we'll see where it goes. But he didn't by any means say it's okay or give me permission to have it. He just said, lay low and we'll see how it turns out in the fall.
Well, I think part of that is determining what our part is in the decision making. So, but thank you for that clarification, Mr. Mercer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have Ben back. Thank you. What do we want to talk about next, Hillary?
Well, I think we can hold off on any more doc discussion. I did just want to share that email with all of you so that it's in our minds. And I emailed Lauren and Will during that short break to set up a time for the three of us to chit chat about it. So we'll get some clarification and we will move forward. Maybe we can talk about it again at our next meeting. So
good.
We could move on to going back to the agenda. We had Pine Point Road. It should be 105 Pine Point Road, and there was some tree work done there. And I believe we have some folks on here that would like to talk about it with us. So I think we could turn the floor over to them. And
is that Ms. Marshall? Is that
Yes, there's 4 of us on from the condo association.
Ah, you're ganging up on us.
We're ganging up on you, absolutely.
Are there 4 of you in one screen or are you in multiple?
On, and then Steve is,
Okay, yep.
there
We've
you
got
go.
Yep.
Steve in the corner. Perfect. Okay, go ahead, please. Take it away. Tell us what happened.
We're not quite sure because we actually, I was digging out some old septic plans and things, trying to figure out what the 100, how do you measure it? And, you know, what is the area we're talking about, to better understand, because we generally all knew that you don't cut trees in the wetlands and things like that, but we didn't know we needed permission if we did trimming and things. So we wanted clarification more than anything of what's required of us.
Well,
Okay,
we have jurisdiction between the wetland and the 100 feet from it. That should be available through the DWP, or DW.
Yeah, I think I see it
Public
on.
Works.
Yeah, okay. I can see where the wetland protection area is.
Right, and the 50 foot is the filter strip, and that's the really sensitive part.
Right,
That's where
I
be
see
very
that.
careful.
Yeah, okay.
So if you're doing trimming to say, or want to remove 3 trees or less,
Right,
an RDA is appropriate. Trimming, I would suspect an RDA would probably be okay unless it's extensive. Are you in sync with that, Hillary?
you say RDA, what is that?
that's a request for determination of applicability. It's a formal form that gets noticed on the agenda, and we do hold a public hearing. So we generally use that form for more than 2 to 3 trees that need to be worked upon. So if you're just trimming back a limb on one tree that's overhanging the house, we go with the smaller form, which is the jurisdictional opinion form. So it depends on the amount and the extent of the work, which form you would file.
Okay,
Hillary, I've got some photos if that would help.
Yeah,
Can I
that's
share
great.
those?
But I'm not sharing the screen, so you can go ahead.
I think I can share the screen. Uh, Share screen.
So, yeah, I'm not
Uh,
familiar with this particular case. How many trees were modified?
Well, actually, the issue here, I hope you can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so the cuttings were where that black line is. Some of them were done on a different property. This property, the owner of this right of way, the railway they were cut there, and then there were quite a number up the hill. And I think I can show you without losing it.
yeah.
So number one, it's cutting on someone else's land.
Okay,
And secondly, these are the cuts between the railway right of way and the shore. So that's right at the top of the wetland. And you can see that there are trees substantially cut there. Okay, so that's that. Then looking up the hill, this is the cutting that occurred along these paths. And that's not minor cutting, that's substantial amounts of cutting. Further, there's a very large wood pile right at the top of the coastal bank, right on the edge of it.
okay.
So I think we're talking fairly substantial.
So is this topping? Was this primarily topping of the trees?
Topping on someone else's land right at the top of the wetlands, and then quite a lot of brush clearance going all the way up the hill where there used to be paths, but apparently they were overgrown.
Can I weigh in for one second here? It seems like maybe we have two instances of cutting that were not conducted by the same person, because we did receive a letter today from Patricia and David Marshall, who are with us, and they submitted to us their bill for Townsend, and the work the work that they had ordered and conducted, and it was not that extensive. So this was the removal of vines. Sorry, I just have to make it bigger so I can read it better, but removal of vines from the locust by the shed. It was to trim an oak back from the roof and the dead wood, so one oak. And in the common area, they were gonna trim, I can't read it, limbs
Evergreens that were over the power lines.
over the power lines, and in the back left unit, trim limbs away from the roof. So that, what you showed us does
Yeah.
not coincide, I don't think, with the work that these
You're
folks.
referring to different work.
Yes, well, it looks like, I wasn't there at the time, but it looked like all of that trimming was done at the same time in early April. And then Doug went out and looked at it, confirmed that there were cutting, and said that it would go on to the next level. So I do think we're talking about two different issues.
Okay,
Right, right. I think all the trimming we did, that Townsend did, was further away from the line in some of the cottages there. So it is two different things. It wasn't talking about the area you're pointing out to us.
Right. So Doug's not here. It leads directly from the railway right-of-way up to the condominium complex. So I'm not sure who, I wasn't there. I don't have any idea who did it, but it's clearly only beneficiary is the condominium complex. Plus that big pile of firewood at the top, is that part of yours as well?
I can speak to that. That was a tree that fell 3 or 4 years ago onto our property. And after it sat there for a while and the neighbor did nothing, I borrowed a chainsaw and I cut it up and I put the stuff back on their property. You can go look, the roof is upended. It was a dead tree that fell on our property.
Well, that's fine, but whose property is it on now?
On the neighbor's property, it's the neighbor's tree.
What's the address of the neighbor?
I think it's, let's see, it's on one of these.
Is that that one?
Yeah. It's,
One over, I took the
yeah,
shell.
yeah, it's on one of these that it has the number. Yeah, no, maybe it's this one.
Oh,
Yeah, and the trouble is there are two properties for sale, which are
125. It's
possibly
right next to 120. It's on 125. Or
No.
part
Yeah,
125.
125, is it?
That might be the parcel number.
do we have Marcia Dunn present as well? Because
It's right here.
I am.
oh, that's Marcia. Okay, so Marcia, so it seems like Stephen did some work, Marcia did some work, and Patricia did some work. Is that
Well, we all did some,
We
we
all
all
did,
did some
yeah.
work.
Right.
okay?
We all
okay?
paid
We
for
all-
Townsend to do the,
Yeah, we all contributed to it.
Okay, and I guess Marcia, who did you hire to do your work?
I just trimmed the oaks, the tops of the oaks myself. And I
Yourself.
was trying to keep them low enough so that I could see over them, but I didn't take any trees down.
Okay,
So-
so the work, I guess I'm just trying to get my mind straight here.
I
The
didn't
work that
yeah.
Michael showed us is the work that you did.
that Michael.
the picture.
Mike Fisher, the pictures
Oh,
of,
no, that didn't look like it at all. These are oak trees.
With the oaks on which side of the right-of-way, the railway right-of-way?
On our property, but
So
toward the
above the
right-of-way.
path, above the path.
Above the path,
Above
but
the
on
path.
the condominium property. And
Well,
I didn't take any
Trim
of
viewing is definitely something that,
them with the cutters so that I could see over them, but they're bushy, they're just shorter.
sounds so easy, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know how else to explain it. without
Well,
taking a picture, but-
yeah, clearing out for a view corridor is definitely one of the things that we get involved with.
Okay.
So because there's no danger, it's just a matter of aesthetics. So that's something that we look at, and evaluate. And oftentimes we'll make suggestions on remediation. What can you do? If you want to take that tree out, what do you do to compensate, right?
Okay.
So this is how the mechanism works.
Okay, I have no desire to take the trees out. I like the trees there. The trees off from the path also. So I haven't taken any out at all. If you just tell me what I need to do one thing, I'd be happy to do it. I didn't realize that I needed a permit to just trim them. So just tell me what I need to do next time I want to do it.
We got the RD.
Well,
Is it the
Hillary, what do you?
RDA or
What do we,
is it the RDA? Is that what?
RDA.
So right, we would use the RDA for a small amount of. In this instance, it would be an after the fact RDA because the work is already done. So the fee goes up. I guess what I'm wondering is how many members are in your sort of condo complex, because this sounds like three different violations in a short amount of time. And so we want to make sure that we get the word out to the other condo owners, that there is a process. The Conservation Commission does get involved in, any type of tree trimming, bush removing, view cutting, just so that we don't continue to see violations out here. And I think, for the commission to consider, it sounds like these were all innocent mistakes and no one was well informed of the process to follow. We certainly weren't contacted. Townsend should certainly know better. He performed some of the work.
He didn't do any of the
work down there.
The work down
I think he
there.
was past the 100.
He was farther back on
on the
the
property.
property, so.
Okay, so Townsend did not do the work within our jurisdiction.
Right.
Right.
No,
No,
he did not.
He did not.
He did not.
So I'm not quite sure how the commission wishes to proceed. It's not as though we have one individual to issue a non-criminal citation to, and I'm not sure it's, I'm not sure how it's going to help us if these folks understand that what they did was in violation and they're not going to do it again. And if they could inform their fellow condo owners of the proper process, that would be to our benefit.
Right.
There's
I
also
agree. I
the-
don't think any punitive action is really required. I am concerned about that pile of wood that's right on the edge of the coastal bank, though.
You need
If it's
one-
on this other person's property, pardon me?
You'd like us to remove it, that it's because it's on someone else's property?
Well, no, that's not. What we're really talking about here is somebody's tree fell on somebody else's property. He cut it up and moved it back to their property. Unfortunately, that pile needs to probably be addressed or in some way.
What,
Perhaps.
like, I mean,
If it's not endangering the coastal bank, generally, if a tree falls, we let it just rot, because that provides homes for wildlife and food. I guess as a pile of wood, it's probably not a lot different. So this is, I mean, what we're seeing here is just a bunch of people doing the best they can. Unfortunately, it's in our jurisdiction. And
understand now.
so if we can just, I would be a proponent of just going forward. If there's no danger to the environment that we can see right now, I would say that we should content ourselves with just making sure that this was an educational process and that the sensitivities to the effect on the environment are understood, and understood that we are the ones that look out for that. We speak for the environment. That's our job. So
And how do we go about doing this RD? Pick up a form?
So there are,
Hillary can speak to that.
yep, yep. If you send me an email, I will send you the forms and the local filing procedure, and you can just follow the process.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds-
John, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I'm not concerned about the cutting that was done on their property. I'm not concerned about if it's trimming. I am concerned that some of that trimming was more extensive and closer to the bank and in the railway right away. So probably on a different person's property. I'm concerned about that cutting, and I don't want, I mean, these people were not contributing to that, but I don't like the fact that this all just sort of disappears and the message becomes just, you can kind of pull up here. And then where do we end up having to constantly fight with people? I'd like to find out who did that other trimming, and a letter to them would help. So if the condo association would like us to view them favorably, they might help us by finding out who did that other trimming.
Patricia, what do you think about that?
No, the picture, the area that we're, the pictures that you're talking about.
Was it that black
I
line?
guess we're not clear exactly where you're talking about, where the picture you showed, is that what the issue?
I think, yeah, I think that where all those trees were topped, that seems like the extensive amount of work in the railroad right of way.
By the path, by the railroad right away. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to go look.
Yeah.
And you're saying some of the cutting was on the other side of the path?
Michael's gonna pull it back up, it looks like, so.
I hope is this visible?
You're getting there.
Can you
Okay,
see?
I, s-
All right, so
Right.
cutting down here. See, this is between the water and the right of way and the railway.
water.
So someone cut off the top of 3 trees
Yep,
right next to the water.
okay,
Okay,
And then this is looking back up the hill where there's a considerable amount of brush that's been cleared away from a path down from the top of the hill.
mhm.
So somebody did all of that. I mean, you can see it's fairly sizable trees that they've been cutting down and then
Right.
just piling the brush. So whoever did that is really responsible for facing the music on it.
yeah.
So Patricia, do you have any idea who did that?
I'm not sure. Can you send me the pictures so we can check with everybody? Is that possible?
Yeah, I sent them to Hillary. I can send them again. I don't have your email, but I can certainly send them.
Yeah, why don't you send them to me, Michael, and Marcia's gonna be in touch about the RDA, so I can email them to Marcia, and Marcia can share them with Patricia.
Okay.
RDA, does that, I mean, I get new growths every week, so do I have to do it every time? I mean,
Once you get permission for the RDA, it's valid for
Continue.
it continues, so I
3 years.
file it once. Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay. I'm sorry about that. I didn't know anything about it, so I didn't know I needed to do that.
Is there anything else you'd like us to do?
Move the brush
It
pile?
looks like
Yes.
John Kumbler is still uneasy about the cutting. And I think until we can have a clearer understanding, we can just hold that. And if we can't identify the individual that requested that cutting or pruning, we can then discuss this at another meeting and see how we want to proceed with the association. How does that sound?
Okay,
Fine.
fair enough.
Okay, so you would like me to just send you an email requesting an RDA?
You could just send me an email saying I'm looking for the paperwork that I need to file an RDA.
Okay,
John Kumbler, are you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
About you, Benjamin?
Oh, very good.
Okay, and Mike?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, thanks for the field work there, Mike.
Well, again, Doug did a lot of the stuff, but he's
Mhm.
not here, so.
Well, he's not, and you're here, so you get the credit. That's the way it works. Okay, is that enough on that subject? Okay, what do we want to talk about next, Hillary? On your
Oh,
modified agenda?
What else is on the agenda?
Gyps, 25
Yep.
Rest Avenue.
Yep, we were gonna get back to Crest Avenue and see how we wanted to proceed with that one. Michael was out there as well. And Michael, if
Was
you
this
want
discussed last week or last
Yeah,
time?
this was discussed at our previous meeting, and we
Okay.
have Steve Phillips here as well.
Well, Steve might want to start while I'm figuring out the share screen issue.
Perfect.
Oh,
Steve?
yeah, I'm here. Hope you can hear me. So yes, this was discussed the last meeting. We filed a NOI and included in that trimming and submitted all the proper forms, the photos, site plan, and what happened was we got the approval. I told the owner, said, hey, you know, after a couple of meetings, we got the approval, and I told her that you know, there was a procedure to go through, and in the interim, she contacted her landscape people up in, I believe, Newton, and they came down and did the trimming, and without my knowledge. Without notifying the commission that they were proceeding with the work, and we had established the height in the notice of intent to trim to, which was a height that Tom Latanzi had already had trimmed to, and we had noticed that and noted that, and Mike had seen that number. Well, once the company from Newton did the trimming, we couldn't see, you know, if they trimmed to the same height or if they trimmed lower, because all the marks were gone. And so the last meeting, there seemed to be a sense that there should be some type of punitive measure for the owners, that they had jumped the gun and did this without, you know, we had the permission, but nobody from the commission was there, and I wasn't there at the time. So that's where we are. Mike came back up. I met with him a few weeks ago, and he's showing you the photos now. Basically, the extent of trimming left to right, that meaning from the west to the southeast, is pretty much consistent with the forms that I filed when we were standing up there on the deck, and I showed you the I filed a paper with the range, and pretty much followed that. But there was a feeling that the client did overstep the granted permission. Yeah, so that's where that's what I got.
Okay, all right. Stephen, were you the intermediary on this, the contractor, or?
Yeah, I filed the paperwork. I was the representative of the owner, and I had planned on bringing somebody in that we would have subcontracted with after the orders of condition had been filed, and which they have been now. We also did, which Mike brought up during the initial approval, we planted over 200 square feet of Virginiana roses, which I had, let's see, who did I have do that? Oh, our local environmental
Gordon Peabody did it.
Gordon
I think.
Peabody. Yes, thank you for the. Sorry, drawing a blank on the name. Gordon planted, I think, 35 Virginiana roses that have been. And Mike saw those when we did and there's a photo of it. So those now have been, they're doing well. I mean, we're lucky with the rain we've had, but we planted a nice bare spot that was within the buffer zone. Practically the whole lot is in the buffer zone. And well, we've now installed soaker hoses on a timer out through that area also now. So that's
So,
what
I mean, if we're going to try to levy culpability on this, we have to make sure that the owner was aware of what the conditions were.
I had let them know that there was a way of, you know, that they couldn't, that they had, I'm struggling for words here, that there was a procedure to go through, and including filing the orders of conditions and giving the Conservation Commission upfront notice that the work was going to commence, you know.
So I
And
do have an email from the owner. I can't remember if I read it at the last meeting or not, but I think I'll just read it into the record now if that's okay.
Please do.
It says, "Dear members of the Conservation Committee and Steve, I am so sorry this happened. I had previously scheduled my own landscapers to do the work. Then Steve told me there was an additional process that needed to happen and a miscommunication with my landscapers resulting in the work happening. Steve is correct in that he had no part in this and advised me against doing anything before everything was all set. I told him immediately after the work was done, hence his email to you all. Unfortunately, I let this slip as I just returned to work after welcoming kittens this winter and continuing to homeschool my son through the pandemic. I know this is not a valid excuse for not properly managing my property, but wanted to offer some explanation of why I did not have a clear mind and let this huge mistake happen. I'd welcome anyone to the house and see the work. The landscapers had the plan, and I think they worked in accordance with the guidelines, but I am in no way an expert. Please let me know about next steps. And again, I'm very sorry for my mistake. Regards, Amy Gibbs."
Well, I think I would recommend, not certainly any sort of punitive fine, but just for moral hazard, I think that a fine of $200 would maybe be appropriate. The bulk of the work is going to be putting in, replacing the stairs down and the kayak rack, and that's a fairly steep slope down. So we want to look very closely at that, and certainly if there are more violations, then I think we should start to get into the punitive range. But at this point, I think it was a mistake. She's learned from it, but I think there should be at least a small fine.
That sounds pretty reasonable to me. Yeah, I remember this site, and that stairway going down is going to be a challenge. So,
oh yeah, no, I totally agree, and she obviously understands the work now and the procedure.
So we're going to issue a $200 fine to Miss Gibbs. Is that the plan?
sounds good to me. John, you okay with that?
I would rather we could get her $200 on remediation, but I don't see it happening in that spot. So I think my question works.
Well, we could ask that she plant $200 more of vegetation if there's a bare spot, and perhaps work through Stephen with Gordon instead of issuing the citation.
I think that's more in the flavor of what we want. Is that okay, Michael?
Yeah.
That's fine with me. There's already going to be a lot of remediation, but if they can find $200 worth of places to put plants, I'd prefer that.
Yeah.
New beyond what they're already doing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I like that too.
So I'm okay with it.
Do you want a motion to that effect?
Yeah, please.
So as a remediation for the violation, the owner will plant an extra $200 worth of vegetation, native vegetation, in areas where it will do the most good in terms of conservation.
Second, John Cumbler.
Yes, go ahead, John.
I second.
All right. We'll have a voice vote. Ben,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes,
John,
Yes,
and Leon, yes. So that's the way we'll go.
I like that.
all right,
Very good.
Hillary?
I will notify Gordon and we'll put something in the works. And
Okay. As far as
I'll let you,
determining-
Hillary, I'll let you know when we're moving forward on that.
Perfect,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll need a planting plan, I think, because this is, what we're hoping for is that we can increase the stability of the coastal bank right there, because it's very steep.
So
and
we can
sandy.
get a revised planting plan from Gordon.
Right.
Okay. I'll contact him. Thank you.
John?
Yeah, in the last few minutes, I'd like to raise the issue of the, at the country club.
Okay.
My understanding is that in the past, that tent went up and down for particular events. I think there was a limited number of events that they put the tent up and then took it down. It seems to be permanently up for the summer. Have we made a decision about that? It's with our jurisdiction that they get to hold. So I'm just throwing that out for Hillary to give us some guidance.
So we have not given any permission for that. And a matter of fact, after you had brought that up, I don't know if someone on here contacted the country club or not, but I received a text from Tia. So I guess we should say that the country club has had some turnover in their staffing. So there's a new manager. Barbara Boone is no longer there. She and I used to work very closely together. And so out of the blue at 4:08, I received a text from Tia saying she wanted to chat with me about the boatyard tent they have up for the season, and that the club wants her to investigate if it would be possible for the tent to stay up for next season and beyond. And she's available to talk about it at any time. And then she went on to say that the tent company applied for the license and it was approved. And she's not exactly sure what that means. So it looks like the tent company applied for a building permit. The building department issued the tent permit, but no one brought it to conservation. So that being said, I don't know how it's erected. John, do you?
No, I just noticed it when I drove by. And I noticed it at first and didn't pay attention to it. I kept noticing it and I thought, in the past, I think I've seen these come up and down. This isn't going down. And not very often. I mean, I think maybe, 8 or 10 times a year, they would have a tent up. But this seems to be permanent. And I thought, that seems our stuff.
Yeah, so
Is this by the boatyard? Is
Yeah,
that, I mean,
it's-
the boathouse? Is this?
Yeah, it's basically across the street from their clubhouse.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Right on the back,
Right.
but it's in a different location.
right.
It's yeah. So it seems like we have to do a little more work on this one as well. The country club should surely know better. We've worked with them closely over the years on a number of different permitting projects. So this is a bit distressing, and I would say we will send the letter, and we should reach out to the tent company as well, and we'll move on from there.
Okay. Is there anything, any judicial opinions that we need to discuss?
No, none.
Great. Is there anything else on your agenda, Hillary?
No, next week we're gonna go out in the field. Barbara's not here, but she would probably want to weigh in on this and look at 2 sets of stairs. The set of stairs going down the bank at Gold Pond where Jack's Boat Rental used to be, and then there is another set of stairs at Long Pond. both are in disrepair, and from what I understand, they both need to come out. So we're gonna have a look at that next week, and that'll be coming before you at some point with an application as well, but nothing right at this moment.
Okay. Is there anything else that we should discuss? We have 3 minutes. I guess not.
Break.
Yep, let's take a quick break and be back at 4 or 5. Okay. Okay, the time is nigh. Mike, are you there?
I'm here.
And Ben, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a quorum. Well, not quite. Yep, John said. Okay, great. All right. Pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter paragraphs 18 through 25, as amended by Chapter 28 of the Acts of 2009, the Wetlands Protection Act, and to the Wellfleet Environmental Protection Bylaw of July 1986 and the regulations of January 2000, the Wellfleet Conservation Conservation Commission will hold public hearings on Wednesday, July 7th, 2021 at 5 p.m. with the business meeting starting at 4 via remote meeting pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted at this meeting. Town hall is closed to the public. Board members will participate in this meeting remotely. And currently we have John Kumbler, Benjamin Fairbank, and Michael Fisher and Leon Shreves in attendance. So we have a quorum. The first hearing is for a certificate of compliance for Pattison. Is there anybody that, have you been to that site, or Doug, Hillary?
Yes, Doug and I were at the site. We had this on the prior agenda, and Wally Pattison is here to speak to it because we had a question about the plantings.
Okay, Mr. Pattison? You're muted.
Okay, I checked the location based on the original certificate of approval, and I noticed that there's a spot that needed to be replanted. So I went to Bayberry and picked up some 20 Bayberry ground cover and planted them in that location. I've taken pictures and I sent them to Hillary of not only of the location, but also of the dune and the bottom where we were requested to put in snow fencing from the bottom of the stairs to the beach. And the pictures were all sent through. And I don't know if Hillary has the pictures.
I'm looking because I don't recall seeing them.
Also, are you arranging for some watering for your bayberry plants during the
Yes.
first season?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm at the location now. My sister comes in next. She's in for 2 weeks. And then I have a renter who's been coming for 40 years. And so I have no problem. They're almost like family, and requesting them to continue the water.
Okay, so it looks like you sent the email today. So the work was done.
This week.
Okay, okay, very well then. I have the pictures in my email. I think we can go ahead and issue the certificate of compliance based on these plantings and the understanding that the plant will need to survive.
Correct.
I'm hearing some crosstalk here.
Ms.
Do
Ian,
we
are you
need to
muted?
vote on the compliance, right? Mike, do you
Right.
have something to say?
I was just saying, I think Ms. Bean is not muted.
Who is that?
There you
muted?
go. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I move that we, certificate of compliance.
Second, Michael?
All right, we'll have a voice vote. Ben,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. So the certificate can be signed off.
Hillary, what form is that?
Certificate of compliance, 8.
Okay.
I'm going to be running out of stuff here. All right, number 8. Okay, next we'll hear about Stewart, another certificate of compliance for 240 Bayberry Lane.
And this one was also on our prior meeting, and I did talk to Miss Stewart this week or the week before, and what happened was she, after filing the 2 notices of intent, she then filed a request for determination with Charles Wentz Ponderosa for some landscaping work. So the work was not permitted on the notice of intent that we were questioning at our last meeting. It was permitted on the request for determination. So we can go ahead and issue the certificate of compliance for Stewart.
That sounds very complicated.
So moved, John Cumberland.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second, Michael.
Okay, Ben, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
John,
Yes,
Leon, yes. So we may issue that certificate of compliance. Clear the books on that one. Okay, did you say that Cushman was going to be?
Yeah, Cushman
continued?
Cushman, Bromberg, and Glen Mullen are all being continued to 7/21.
Okay, we need to vote on all those, right?
Yes, please.
Why don't we get all those in one swell swoop here? Okay, can I hear a motion to continue Cushman?
so moved, John Cumberland.
Second,
Second.
Michael.
All right, voice vote. Ben,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
John,
Yes,
and Leon, yes. So Cushman is continued till the 21st. Bromberg, do I hear a motion?
so
So
moved,
moved.
John Cumberland.
Second,
right.
Michael.
Okay, voice vote. Ben,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
John,
Yes,
and Leon, yes. So we'll continue that until the 21st. And finally, we have Glen Mullen.
let you do this, Mike.
I move that we continue Glen Mullen to July 21st.
Second, John Cumberland.
Okay, we'll have a vote. Ben,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
John,
Yes,
and Leon, yes. Glen Mullen is continued.
Great.
Okay, now we got that out of the way. So the next would be Bihan.
Behan.
Is there someone to speak to that, please?
Yep.
Yeah, good afternoon. Dave LaJoy from Felco.
Hi, Dave.
Good afternoon. We presented this to you at the last meeting, I believe. The project's to relocate an existing dwelling further away from the top of the bank
Mhm.
and connecting into the existing septic system. Questions you had were confirmation of the number of bedrooms in both buildings. That was done. And we also did an inspection of the existing septic tank and leach pit, and both were working properly. Be happy to answer questions.
Are there any questions from the commission?
The only other thing is at some point, we're supposed to get an updated revised planting plan. Has that come in?
I have
David?
not,
I didn't realize you needed that. Can you make that a condition?
I have no problems with making it a condition.
That would be planting right on the bank where the house is now in the filter strip. Is that the idea?
Landward of the filter strip, yep.
And also the area that's going to be disturbed when they drive a crane through moving the house.
You think that
Absolutely.
might disturb it? Okay.
could I
I
just
did-
ask that
ahead.
we read the meeting minutes from the previous meeting because Leon wasn't here and he has to attest that he's read the meeting minutes. So
I
Chris,
can put them up if
Oh,
you can read
yes.
fast.
great, thank you.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. You should have a revised plan that, construction note number 4. We added beach grass plugs, pasture rows, and bayberry. Do you have that? A plan revised 6/3/2021.
Yes. There are planting notes and the construction notes at the top, number 4.
Thank you.
So this is from the last from the June 2nd meeting. If Leon can speed
I'm
read.
reading it right now. As you can see, I move my lips when I read. Yeah, I think I was here for that. That was 2 meetings ago, right?
Yeah,
Well, we talked
Yeah.
about it again at the last meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'm gonna say, if I were, I still can't vote for this. If it comes to a vote, I'm not gonna be able to vote for it. We only have 4 members. And I can't because the septic system, I know that, it was pointed out that the septic system is a Board of Health issue. The Board of Health's concern with septic systems are for bacteria and that the septic system does not pollute the well water. Our concern is septic systems is the environment, nitrates out, which means that I think I do not feel comfortable okaying this as presented, given how close the septic system is to the coastal bank, given the fact the coastal bank is eroding, and given the fact that I just can't go with the standard Title V at this point.
Well, are you also pointing
Two
out,
things.
John,
can-
that the leach pit is closer to the top of the bank than the dwelling? Did you?
Right, yes. I am concerned about, I just feel like I can't say yes for this at this point.
Okay,
Okay.
excuse me. The regulations we're complying with, and I don't know why that can't be approvable. I know we're all concerned about nitrogen. However, the rules are the rules. We're showing compliance. There are many properties in town that have septic tanks and leach pits. The nitrogen goes into the ground and throughout the whole town. It's not just properties near the shoreline or near wetlands. It's a problem for the entire town. So to single out certain properties seems difficult when there's no change in the use. All we're doing is picking up the dwelling and moving it.
Well, the truth is you're moving it to a full foundation with a full basement. So you're getting more than what you had. And the septic system is, right on the coastal bank itself, that system's going to go over that bank within a very short period of time. The leach field is going to sort of disintegrate into the bank. I understand I'm one vote and you might be better off coming back when you have more members on the commission than just 4. But right now, I can't do it. And if I abstain or vote against, it doesn't go forward. So I want that clear. I don't want to say that I should personally stop this, but I can't feel comfortable saying yes at this point. And the septic system is a problem and it's in our jurisdiction
Why is it a problem?
because it's too close to the bank, because it is leaching nitrates. And you're right, every system in this town is leaching nitrates, but this one happens to come before us right now. And I'm saying I can't vote for it.
I guess in thinking about John's comments, I mean, if it is possible for the property owner to relocate the septic system, it would make more sense to disturb the property once than to have to go back in and disturb it twice, because that area would, those components would need to be removed and filled in with clean sand. And they are, you know, in 2020, they were 50 feet, the leach pit was 50 feet from the top of the bank. We don't have a survey from 2021 to identify if the coastal bank has moved at all. But if you're going to have to get machinery in there to relocate the dwelling, it may make more sense to relocate the septic system at the same time, because it is closer to the top of the bank than the dwelling that you're actually removing.
If we updated the system to the present code, would that make things acceptable?
John, you're the person that,
Is the wet blanket in this?
no, I'm not saying that at all. You're the one that has a specific concern about this. So,
I'm not exactly sure.
title-
Title V doesn't make me happy at all.
right. So I have a question. I wasn't here for the election, or the town meeting. Didn't we approve a way of subsidizing installations of replacement?
So yes,
systems?
you approved the installation of up to 12 enhanced IA systems in the town of Wellfleet. That being said, we don't yet have a way to distribute, a plan to distribute the money. So the Board of Health has to meet and figure out how they want to distribute the money. If there's a priority as to where we would fund these systems, would we fund them all over town? So we don't yet have that money to spend in hand.
Okay, and that's only for 12?
Yeah, up to 12 systems.
Up
for
to
the-
12? Okay, all right. Thank you for the clarification on that. David, I think that the owner and you need to talk about, at a minimum, relocating the leach field, but also looking at remediation for the nitrogen. It's going to be, in the near future, it's going to be required of is
What's going to be required? Excuse me, what's going to be required?
Well, as a wholesale wastewater plan for Wellfleet, the town will be considering a watershed permit, which will include systems when they get upgraded to be upgraded into these enhanced IA systems or just innovative alternative systems. But the push is for the enhanced IA because they actually remove the nutrients.
Is that going to be town-wide for every property?
Yes, that would be part of our watershed plan, yes.
right.
Unless, of course, there's a sewering option. But I don't think out here, you'll get a sewering option.
No,
So,
it's not a sewering
No, I
option.
understand.
yeah.
And this is a vote from the Board of Health, or this is a vote for town-wide?
No, it would, I don't know the process for a townwide vote, but it goes into our watershed permit, which makes us in compliance with the TMDLs through Mass DEP and the EPA. So we have to meet certain targets for nutrient reduction. And that's the plan we're currently working on, would be to get most of the dwellings that are upgraded or transferred to put in these enhanced IAs to meet the criteria for nutrient reduction.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. However, I can't see the town or individual property owners volunteering to put in treatment systems. If it's required, that's one thing. And in this particular case, there was mentioned that there's a full basement underneath it, the new building. That has nothing to do with the number of bedrooms. There's 4 bedrooms in the 2 buildings, and we're going to take one building and put it somewhere else. The septic system was inspected. I don't know why we're going to these alternative treatment units requirements without the regulatory ability or whatever. Everybody in town would need to have a new septic system. Well, that's not the case yet. We're still dealing with a house being moved, the physical process. We're not talking about any more water use. Full basement has nothing to do with water use. So I'd like to have you consider it one more time.
Just to speak a little bit further, David, you had asked what a standard Title V or a standard, I don't know what wording you used.
Yep, I'm sorry. Yep.
Would that work for you? But looking at the plan with the well and the well relocation, it looks like you'd be in that IA category with the plan that's in front of us anyway.
I think because of the regulations, I believe in welfare are from the water course. It's not from the top of the bank.
No,
So
I
can-
was thinking
yep.
if you were gonna design the septic system, you'd obviously
Yep.
move it outside the 100-foot buffer zone. But you've got your well, you know,
I wouldn't necessarily do that. But if it meant relocating the well somewhere else, that's a possibility. I just would like it to be reviewed one more time to see if, yes, there's still a negative vote that upgrading it to the present type system with a leaching field, proper size tank, so forth, if that's something that the board would consider. And before you answer, I don't know, Miss Bean may want to say something if she feels comfortable or not. I guess she
So the
doesn't.
question before us
I
for
did,
consideration right now is if a Title V were put in, were you talking about moving the drain, the leach field? Dave?
Yes, it's a 1978 code tank and a pit. And it could be upgraded to a 1,500-gallon tank and some type of leaching field that's typical for what gets designed now. If we did need variances, we would submit to the health department. It just doesn't automatically mean they have to put alternative treatment unit in because they're having a basement underneath their building.
How does the basement under the building change anything?
That's my question. That doesn't mean we're adding use.
No, I think the only real question right now is the effect of continuing the leaching of nitrates right into the bay. Because it would take 2 years for it to drain into or to migrate into the Atlantic Ocean. So
That happens on every property in the town, sir.
that doesn't make it all right.
I understand that completely.
For
I
us to
understand that
try to-
completely. Yeah. It's what the rules say, or the regulations, I should say.
I guess I would, my concern is its proximity to the top of the bank and the erosion. Do we know where the coastal bank is sitting out there today?
I can provide that to you. I would estimate probably 5 feet closer
5 feet.
to
5 feet closer.
landward. Yep.
Okay, and then if we're looking at upgrading the septic system, I would ask the question, could we move the house back closer to the buffer zone and put the septic closer to the road? Because the maximum amount of distance, the better. But I just put that out there if we're looking at, moving things around.
Thank you for your suggestion. However, the whole reason for this is to try to keep the house from going in the water. And it's a situation where if they were adding bedrooms or whatever, no argument, no problem. But this is picking a building up and moving it to a new spot without any wastewater increase or water use. I'm sorry, Miss Bian, maybe I've
No,
connected
I
to you
don't
now.
think anybody can hear me.
Yes,
We
we
can hear
can.
Oh, you can hear me. Yeah, we use the house primarily in the summer. I have a house in Connecticut where we spend part of our time, and most of the winter I'm in Florida. So really, these houses only get used maybe from, I don't know, at the earliest, maybe one person or two people probably are up here in April, earliest. I didn't get up here till June this year. And then it's just been two of us with the two houses. So their family, it's a family, compound kind of, I guess you'd say. But everybody is working and has lives. It was wonderful when everybody was little and we had lots of little kids, but really honestly, and I know, that doesn't butter your biscuit, but it's really just a summer house. And I believe when he did the inspection on the system, he said it's barely used up 50% of its life. So, are you proposing to move the septic to the road, Ridgeway Road?
I believe they're asking for it to go where you're
Or are you
proposing the new
asking for
building.
it to be put on Cliff Road?
I think the suggestion is that the dwelling not move all the way to Cliff Road, and that might be where the drain field would go. But that seems to be kind of counter the whole business that we're involved with.
Yes,
We're just trying to save our house.
yeah,
It will
I
be
hear that.
gone. As I'm sure you've had many people in front of you in the same very sad situation. It's a terrifying situation. I lost my last house over the dune. And I thought magic would work. And that the dune, the erosion would slow down, but it hasn't as such. And we're really just looking to save ourselves for whatever time we have. And we just appreciate, we're happy to do, whatever we have to, but it's very expensive to move a house back to begin with. And, but we realize the septic will have to be moved back at some point. If we own half the road, well, we don't, but it's a dead road for Cliff, nobody uses. And Ridgeway down by us, 20 feet of the road is ours. So, but I don't know all the legalese. I'm just saying I'm open to suggestions, but the whole idea is to really get it back as far as we can. We're really looking for a variance to get back.
Yeah.
If you're interested in moving your house, and I can understand, I don't like the fact these houses may go into the sea. And you are interested in updating your septic system to meet the requirements that were coming in the very short future, I would suggest, if you're interested, you move the septic system at this point and move to alternative septic system. That is my suggestion, which would be a little more expensive than what you're talking about, but would certainly meet the needs of the town as well as your needs.
So we need the variance to move that house back to the edge of our property and the 40-foot buffer, which is the road, Cliff Road. I don't even know how much space this new septic system requires in order to be effective.
Well, they're oftentimes built above ground. They look like a planter. And that's
It looks like a
what's often done.
It's above ground?
It can be, yeah, because it's an active electronic system that does it.
Okay, and how many square feet does it take up then? Because it must not be dumping any water into the ground, or is it?
No, it does. It does. It takes care of the bacteria, and it also takes care of removing the nitrogen, the nitrates from the water.
Which is our concern.
That's our concern.
If I could interrupt for a second, I'm sorry. Your
Please do,
new or
David.
possible new regulations are gonna be for certain properties near nitrogen sensitive areas, and everyone's gonna be required to have alternative system. Regardless of if they're doing anything, they're just gonna have to schedule to have it done at some point.
Well,
Is
it
that-
will either be date dependent or property transfer dependent or building permit dependent. But we don't have that sort of spelled out yet, but we are gonna need some concrete way to move forward, or we're gonna be in trouble with Mass DEP and the EPA. So, the watershed permit we're working on, we'll have parameters for which, these things are required.
Okay, thank you. However, they don't exist now.
They
And
don't exist now, but I think what I'm hearing is you're not going to get the votes to approve this project this week or next week until we get some new members on board. So they're,
well,
I guess.
I'm sorry, why don't I do that then? Let me ask for continuance and we'll consider what you've asked us to do again and go from there.
Yeah, I
If
think
that's
I'd like to learn about what it is, how much room it requires, where, consult with David about what the possibilities are. I know what what our needs are, so definitely. And I understand your needs. And let us just talk and go to, discovery and see what might be a great answer for all of us.
Okay.
John, you're muted.
That sounds like a good way to move forward.
Yeah.
I'd like to add one quick thing. Just to present us with an alternative for setting it back, and if there is no alternative, to just explain that a little bit more.
I'm sorry, could you say that again, please?
To just present an alternative, if there is one, to move the leaching field back, if there is a way to do that without moving the house forward, or just to see if there is that alternative. And if there's not, to just explain why.
Thank you, I will.
Are you saying, are you referring to we were talking about the septic field and relocating that? Someone mentioned the septic field itself to remove it around.
Well,
Yes.
I think what I'm hearing, Susan and David, is that the dwelling you're relocating closer to Cliff Road is actually farther away from the top of the coastal bank than this leach pit. So the leach pit is closer to the top of the coastal bank than the dwelling. And it seems like the concern is to get the dwelling out of there. So I think from a conservation standpoint, I'm hearing certain members would like you to investigate the enhanced IA system for an installation. And the other thing I'm hearing is that leach pit should move as well because it's closer to the top of the coastal bank than the dwelling.
Okay. But that wouldn't make a difference on your approval if they move the leach pit.
Well, I think we're stuck here because our commission is down 2 members and we only have 4 sitting members for the whole summer. So, you know.
So it's the whole summer. Wow.
So we will be in this situation until September. And I would suggest that maybe the watershed plan will be approved in December. So depending on when you can get your project approved on what continuum, you know, I don't know where we'll land, but these are the things that are happening and, you know, what the future looks like.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. And I think our best bet is to regroup. I'll talk with David. We'll look at the property. We'll look at the options, certainly look at relocating, you know, the drainage pit or whatever, leaching pit, and just see what makes sense, and checking in with all of you on, you know, bouncing off ideas that we think will be able to make everyone as happy as they can be.
Thank you. So how long would you want, David?
Well, I asked for a month, please.
Okay, I don't think we're meeting August 18th. We're meeting August 4th. And so that would be the month you're looking for?
I'm sorry.
August.
Yeah, August 4th is fine. Thank you. Yep.
Okay,
August
I
4th
move
is
we
fine.
continue Bien until August 4th.
Do I hear a second?
Second, Ben.
Okay, voice vote. John, you're muted.
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and Leon, yes.
Thank you for
A
your
very
time.
sensitive area, and we're just trying to come to a satisfactory arrangement on all of this. So that's continued until
It looks like we have
4th.
Jeannie Campus, Leon, but just before we continue, we have Jeannie Campus with a comment.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm just here for public comment. I represent Karen Elbing, who's the direct abutter at 255. I have no problem with the continuance, obviously, but I would ask, I saw in the meeting notes that we were on the screen earlier that the health department was going to go out and confirm the bedroom count, and I don't think that has been done. And also,
Yes.
I believe that was done. I believe that was done.
Yeah, Doug was out here.
Hillary had told me it had not been completed, I think. Maybe Hillary can answer that.
I did not know that Doug was out there. If he was out there, I trust.
Jordan.
Was out there with Dave LaJoy.
Okay.
And Jordan was there as well.
Houses, and his comments were, these cannot be considered bedrooms. The loft has no door, no privacy, no nothing.
Excuse me, Susan.
Entry way.
I just reiterate the concern because I'm looking at on my screen, which you all don't have, I don't think, but it's a sewage and site plan from 2013 from Mr. LaJoy that notes the existing number of bedrooms on the property. And then I know there was an addition to one of the buildings that resulted in an additional bedroom, and that would put us at 5. So maybe Ms. Behan has done.
That was considered our front house. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
That fell over the dune. Those bedroom numbers were
Can
from
I finish
Untitled
talking?
House. I'm sorry, I'm out of order. Sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Campus.
Thank you. I'm just, maybe work has been done to reduce the number of bedrooms, but based on all the information I think that the town has and the assessor's cards, it's clear that there are 5 bedrooms currently on the property. So again, that's the only reason I raised the concern. And also, if it's possible, I think it's appropriate for the applicant to submit an inspection report from the inspection to confirm that it has been inspected and does pass Title V. It sounds like that won't be an issue, but I would ask that that be provided.
Excuse me, both of those items were given to the health department. I did not do an inspection form. I gave them a letter that said that the system was functioning properly. And they have a floor plan that says there's 4 bedrooms total on the site. Done
Right.
through a walkthrough with the health agent assistant.
All right. I'm sorry, I didn't know that took place. Thank you.
All right, so we have voted to continue this until August 4th. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is. All right. So that's a done deal. Good luck.
Thank you.
It sounds like you have some learning to do about the nitrogen and nitrogen remediation.
I think
Good.
some of the board members need to as well. Thank you.
Okay. And finally, we have Cohen at 400 Pleasant Point Avenue. And this is a NOI. Is this the first time that we're hearing about this?
No, good afternoon. I'm Dave LaJoy again. This is a separate project from the one that was submitted before, which was for a new septic system. That was approved. Now we're proposing a disability ramp because of the owner's disability to go from the road level up to the first floor level, which is a concrete ramp for the access. And then as it turns towards the south of the building, it'll be a wooden deck.
What about the propane tank? I recall that was we questioned that. Right?
That's right. We'd like to propose a propane tank on the side of the building, just westerly of the access ramp, and that'll be buried.
You also are asking for an outdoor shower.
That's between the building and the access ramp.
Mhm. I remember this.
May I speak?
Yes, please.
My name is Richard Cohen. I'm here with my wife, Meredith Vieira. This is our house, so I thought I would explain what this is all about. This is to accommodate, as David said, a disability. I have multiple sclerosis. I have a lot of mobility problems. And I just want to clarify one thing. When one pictures a ramp like this, I think it's easy to see something pretty hideous looking, you know, something that belongs on the side of a hospital. We did a very similar thing next door at our other house at 390. And anybody who sees it thinks that it melts into the rest of the property. It has no, you don't get a sense that it's for a disability. It just, as a matter of fact, I think the more we age, the more all of us are going to need something like this. I really hope that nobody thinks that this is going to be an eyesore, because I think it's anything but that. I think it's going to be very attractively designed and constructed. And it's really my only way to get to the floor where everything, the kitchen and the living quarters are in the building.
I understand that. Like, certainly, you're right. As we all age in place, this sort of thing will be more and more. I'm just trying to find, here we go. So the ramp is within, where are we at here? I don't see the 50. I
So
don't
if
see
you
the
look at
filter
the plan,
strip.
we have a couple different resources on this piece of land.
Yeah,
We have salt marsh on both sides. We have coastal bank, and we have a flood zone at elevation 13. And
ACEC?
ACEC, I don't see labeled on the plan.
Yes,
Yes, ACEC. Okay, so I think everything that's proposed is within the 50-foot filter strip, but that's just by virtue of where their dwelling sits on the property. They cannot get outside of it with any type of handicap ramping system, so.
okay, so I think we have three different issues. One is the ramp, which sounds pretty important. Then we had the outdoor shower and the underground propane tank.
And there's the power lines in the road.
Right, that goes in the driveway, right? Underneath the driveway.
yes.
Mhm.
There already is
John?
a shower, by the way, it's moving.
Yeah, let me just say for the record that aesthetics are not our concern. I don't care what the ramp looks like. It can be hideous. It can be beautiful. Its impact on the environment is our concern. But having said that, I'm very sympathetic for the need to get access to your home. So my concern is that you get access to your home. And if it's a ramp is required, I want to be sympathetic to that. I don't care what it looks like. I don't want it. I want the least impact on the environment. That's my only concern. So, but I am very sympathetic. You need to be into your home.
Yes, absolutely.
So it can be very ugly. Don't worry about that. That's not our concern.
Yeah.
I am worried about two things. One is we are increasingly concerned about outdoor showers because it turns out outdoor showers close to a water system, in fact, is putting pollutants into the water system. People wash their hair with shampoo. People urinate in showers all the time, et cetera, et cetera. So how the shower is drained and where the shower is located is a concern. And then I will say, I'm not voting for any underground propane tanks. I voted every time these come up, I voted against them. So unfortunately, we don't have enough people to tolerate my dissent. So you're going to wait till we have more people, or you can lift the tank. But I'm okay with the ramp.
Yeah.
Leon, I've got some pictures and a question.
Okay. You want to share?
So I hope I can. Okay, so are you seeing it?
Yes, yes, we are. Thank
Okay.
you.
So this is the road going in and the ramp ends here. As I went out this afternoon or this morning, there was a terrapin building a nest right around in here. So one of the questions is avoiding affecting the terrapins. Then it goes up this hill and there are some trees that are clearly, and some bushes here, which are clearly going to be affected by the ramp. It's a long ramp. And then it comes around the side. I think that the showers underneath, is the decking going to be raised?
Basically ground level.
So how are you going to have an outdoor shower under the deck?
No, no. Where you're looking at, I'm sorry, if you go back to the other one.
the shower right now is in the driveway and much closer to the water than what we are proposing. We're proposing putting it on the other side of the house, further away from the water than it is now.
So between the garage and the decking or under the decking? It's not clear
No,
from the
not
plan.
under the
May I
decking.
speak? Paul Worthington, the architect.
Please.
So there's a disintegrating concrete stair that's about 4 feet wide, right directly next to the house. No, it's on the side. Yeah, that's
Down
the
here?
top end of it. Yeah, those are completely deteriorated. Our proposal is in that 4 feet adjacent to the garage, we're putting the outdoor shower. 4 feet beside that will be the rampway, approximately where the existing failing retaining wall is located.
Here and between
Right there.
that and the post?
No, we're not. The ramp parallels the road. It's not way up there where those stakes are. Those are not correct.
Okay, well, you can understand the confusion because there are stakes going up.
Yeah, well, that's not, so that's not at all where it goes. The ramp is 4 feet away from the house.
Okay, because it
So
says
you're
ramp, I think,
totally
right
in the
here.
wrong spot. That's not where it is.
Okay, well,
Who
I
set
think
the
that has
stakes?
to be-
I did.
Do you think they're in the right place, David?
I do. You go from there and you go to the left.
It says top of ramp, right?
No,
So,
it says edge of ramp.
Oh, I'm sorry, but it's way
Well-
closer to the house.
Okay. and
okay,
you
well,
go
if it's
to-
edge of ramp, that's still, so you're talking about the ramp here.
You're gonna go straight up from there, right where the bushes you were talking about the existing retaining
Oh,
wall.
there. Okay,
Right there. A little bit even more to the left.
over here.
No, right where the bush is. And then it's gonna mate with the existing concrete steps.
Okay, so is this or is this not one edge of the ramp?
That is not. I'm sorry, but unless the photograph's distorted, the
Yeah,
ramp
the-
is only
I
four-
don't believe so.
the ramp is only 4 feet away from the house.
That's
Okay.
right.
Ramp, see that retaining wall? That's right where the ramp is.
That's right.
Okay, well,
See,
then the stakes can't be.
Lower
ledge.
section
No.
there's a lower retaining wall. That's where the shower will be. And then the ramp will be right beside it.
And if you look at
So
that
these are right.
photo you have there, excuse me, look at the
That's not-
photo you have there.
Your pointer is not disturbed. And the rampway is permeable pavers, and the bank side is a landscape wall, so there's minimal invasion there.
Okay, excuse me for a second, so everybody knows. If you go back to the photo you just had, and you see the small pine tree to the far right,
This one?
yes, there's two stakes right next to that show where the ramp is. See
Well,
the
that-
orange flagging?
Yep, the lower pine, that's correct. There's a straight.
That's right.
way up.
And see the orange flagging? No,
Yeah.
not there.
That's correct.
You
It's
gotta
the
go to
lower
the other
part-
photo.
It's the lower part that's deceiving.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta go to the other photo, not that
That's-
one.
Because it parallels the road and takes a turn.
That's right.
Okay,
Excuse me. Okay, you gotta go to the left. If you look on the plan, you'll see the existing retaining wall. And if you look at that pine tree furthest to the right, and just below that, there's an orange flag, very hard to see, right there. But there's a stake there, and there's also a stake further to the right that's
In
in the
here?
bushes. If you looked inside the bushes, you'd see the stake.
right.
Okay, and then it goes from there and it comes up to where the stake is. There you go. Yes, correct.
Yep.
Okay,
There is a dog leg on the plan, right? at the very bottom? Isn't there a dog leg to the left?
It's very slight, yeah, it's very slight. The stakes that I put in there are the length of the ramp, and then it comes up to right where that other stake is, next to the deteriorating concrete block wall,
Okay.
right? And the outside
it's-
shower
it's-
goes right at the end, at the bottom of that. No,
That's the top end. That's where it
That's
will
the
connect
top.
with the deck.
So it's
yes,
going to be down there.
that's up there, sir.
That's the high side.
Okay. And then these don't seem to be on the plan as well.
What's that, sir? The air
These
conditioning
are,
unit? Yeah, I don't
yeah,
have those on
and
the
one's
plan.
on a slab.
Yeah.
Are they on the plan? I don't see it, but I
That
could be
will be
wrong.
the connecting walkway to get to the other deck. Those air conditioning units, we're going to try and relocate those to just behind the ramp. If you go around to that corner again, we're going to try and move those units around the corner.
I'm just was
It's shown on
not
the plan.
clear when I was.
It's on all of my on the architectural plans. Yeah.
No, the air conditioning units aren't shown on the plan, no.
Well, they're on the deck. They're shown sitting on the deck.
That's right.
And we're going to try and move them. We have to do, we have to make sure it works. We're going to move them around the corner to that void. If you go one more step around the corner to that high end of where the ramp comes up.
Okay. So the only other question I have is the area, there's a lot of this been done on this property. What is the total area of disturbance, including the road and the house and the current?
I can kind of provide you that number, but you have to define what's disturbed, what's been changed. It's difficult to give you that kind of information when a lot of the property's been altered, but I can give you some number of what appears to have been altered over time.
So I think, David, they're looking for walkways, pathways, retaining walls, planters, decks, garages,
I can
driveways.
give it, yeah, I can give you that number, but please tell me the significance of it. If it's trying to be the same as the 5,000 number, this is a different scenario. This is an existing disturbed site. And I realize you try not to allow more than should go on the site, but we're dealing with basically all existing conditions. We have the new septic system approved. We're trying to get the ramp so that you can access the back of the building. And the back of the building to the south side helps him enter into the first floor. In terms of the propane tank, do you want to see the propane tank above ground?
I do.
Okay. And as far as the outside shower, as the water goes into the ground there, it gets filtered through the soil, very similar to what happens with the leach area. And ideally, it's not, in this case, it's not as high as the leach area will be, but it gets filtered. If you'd like us to put some drainage stone underneath it, we could, but that's not going to filter anything. It's just going to
No.
keep the area intact a little better, but
So David, you're talking about replacing the disturbed areas with Virginia rose, juniper, about 630 square feet. But is there any remediation planting?
in terms of, that's the remediation. If you go back to the pictures, the site's pretty well vegetated, except for the shrubs that are in the existing pathway there, or the kind of in the retaining wall area. We have a restrictive work limit. There's no need to go any further to the west than is reasonable to construct the ramp.
So if you gave up the outside shower, would that be a remediation?
In terms of square footage or in terms of use?
In terms of the effect on the environment?
I can't answer that.
May I speak?
Please do.
May I speak?
Mr. Worthington, go ahead.
The shower, there's already a shower right at the entryway to the house. So at the very least, we would be able to keep that. We're just trying to move it around the corner. It's going to be the same drainage. And
Yeah,
it's
I understand that, but you're also disturbing a lot of very fragile terrain. You should give up something.
That's in the location of the deteriorating steps. So we're just using that location to move the shower to because it's more out of the way.
Yes, I understand, Mr. Worthington, but you're putting in a ramp, and we're sympathetic to doing that. But as a compensation, as a remediation for putting in the ramp, you should give up something that's affecting the environment, like the outdoor shower.
I just think every house in Wellfleet has an outdoor shower. That's kind of, against Wellfleet.
I think you're maybe mistaken about that, but anyway.
Sorry.
It sounds like we have a stalemate at this point. I think that.
Can I just say, I think Mike is on to something that can get us past this. We want to okay this ramp. We want to, but it has a big impact on an incredibly fragile area. I mean, we have said no to almost all projects this close to the resource area, just flat no. Because of our sympathy for the ramp, I think that the commission is willing to let the ramp go in, but we want something back for the environment. And Mike is suggesting, and I hadn't thought of it, but I think it's a good one. If you give up the outdoor shower, then that is a way of remediation that will, we'll feel more comfortable about. If you want to be a stickler about that, we can start looking more seriously at the ramp, and I don't want to do that. I want to allow these people to get into their house.
What about planting remediation?
No, planting remediation is not equivalent.
Can I ask a question?
Okay, sorry, Hillary.
Yeah, no,
Go
it's
ahead.
okay. I don't want to get bogged down here, but I'm struggling to see where the existing outdoor shower is.
It's right in front of the house at the ground level, right next to the garage, right next to the lower entry door.
The
In the
left
driveway.
entry
It's in the
door.
driveway.
Yes.
In the driveway.
So it
It's
looks
not-
like,
I'm sorry, Hillary, go ahead.
so it looks like you're moving the outdoor shower further away from the edge of the salt marsh. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
Is there a way to design a catch basin, if this is agreeable to the commission, I don't know, underneath the outdoor shower that incorporates a carbon source to mitigate the nutrients going in? So you could put your layer of your pea stone or whatever kind of stone you're going to use in your dry well underneath it, incorporate the carbon source, because we know that the carbon reduces the nutrients, put another layer of stone on top of it, and sort of build your own drainage system that will remove the nutrients that are flowing from the outdoor shower.
That would work for me.
We would be willing to build to any standard that you request.
Because I think that's a win for the commission and that's a win for the property owner, because you're moving it away, you're putting in the carbon source for us, and you still have access to an outdoor shower, because that's important on Cape Cod. So I think I think that works.
I would accept that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could I-
The
could I
only
ask-
other stickler then is the propane tank below ground.
Can I ask just an educational question for my benefit? What
Certainly.
is the problem with having it buried? What is the concern because I don't know.
Go ahead,
I
John.
can answer this because I'm the one who, the problem is we don't know the consequence of burying these tanks. Obviously, propane is a gas and it rises. It's not the same as liquid petroleum, but my feeling is we don't know the consequence. A tank above ground, is visible. We know what's going to happen. So in very fragile areas, I'm not supporting tanks below ground. To be honest, other members of the commission are fine with that. And if you feel this is important to bury the tank, then I think you should wait until we get more members of the commission, because you'll need their votes to overcome my resistance to burying the tank. It's
I'll
not
add something to
my
that.
concern.
Ben? Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I'm usually less concerned about the propane tanks in other areas, but just by the impact from the work and the fact that this is so close to such a fragile, all the resource areas that we're dealing with, I would say that the impact we do know about is just from the work itself would kind of make me not really like that.
Okay. So it sounds like we're going to be two things. We need a plan with the altered drainage for the outdoor shower. And you need to rethink about your propane tank. So it sounds like we need a continuance.
Can I just, Leon?
Yes, John?
Me, if they can give to Hillary a new plan for the outdoor shower, and if they are willing to go with an above ground propane tank, I'm willing to go ahead right now. But if they still are hooked up on the propane tank, then I do think we need a continuance. I think this is up to them.
Yep.
We get guidance from Paul here or
Yep.
David?
Well, we can screen it, Meredith. If it's going to be a break-in deal, we'll put fencing around it, or somehow screen it from the house.
Where is it located, Paul?
Basically an eyesore to have it above ground, but we're happy to do whatever is required to not face a continuance.
Where is it though, Paul? Where is it
It
located?
would be in the area of disturbance that's already taking place by the ramp.
So near the ramp, that side of the house.
It would be right, they're already in there with the ramp. So the thought was to incorporate that so that it would be part of the disturbance. It might, it's a few more feet, but it's in the general area.
So it sounds like we've got an agreement.
I think so.
Hillary, can these be covered by conditions?
Yes, I think so. So the propane tank is to go above ground and be shown on a new site plan. And the outdoor shower needs a catch basin underneath it with a carbon source with a design plan to be submitted to the commission.
Okay, so I would move approval of 400 Pleasant Point Avenue, Cohen and Vieira, with the two conditions stated.
Can we also get the compressors shown on the site plan? The new location for the air conditioner compressors?
Yes.
John?
I second that motion.
Okay, we'll have a voice vote. Mike?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And Leon, yes. So
Thank
we
you very much.
Thank you.
have a go forward position.
Great.
I hope that works out for you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
I'm open. Is there anything else that we need to discuss tonight? I ran off the bottom of my, what do we need on that as far as,
That's an order of conditions.
okay, so that's a 5, is that
I
right,
think
or
it's
a
a
2?
5. I think it's a
Yeah.
5.
All
Could
right,
be a
so
3.
no, I don't think there's a 3,
I think it's a 5.
a 5.
So you need
So-
one order of conditions, 2 certificates of compliances.
Okay, those are the 8,
Yeah, it is,
number
it is a
8s, right?
5.
It's a 5.
1, 5, 2, 8, right?
1, 5, 2,
Now that
8.
we have the paperwork worked out, is there a motion to adjourn?
Can I ask a quick question? That's probably more of a business meeting type of question, but I'm wondering, we're not going to meet back with Horsley Witten until September. John Cumbler seems fairly obtuse to installing any standard Title V's within the conservation jurisdiction. Does it make sense for us to consider a modification to our regulations to incorporate the installation of IA or enhanced IA systems within the buffer zone?
Hillary, can I add to that?
Yeah.
I think that there's 2 options. One is the one you just suggested. The other, which I'm inclined towards, is to kick me off the commission.
Well, no, we can't kick you off the commission because we need you.
But I like,
I just wonder because it always comes back to the fact that we don't have a regulation and we don't have a regulation.
right. I think
Which
we
opens-
definitely need it. I think that's absolutely, I agree with you, Hillary. I think
But I
that,
feel like we're losing ground. We're treading on thin ice, requiring, well, not requiring it, but strongly urging it without the regulation. And I don't think we can wait around for the Board of Health much longer. And the Board of Health and the Conservation Commission don't have to have matching regulations. So the commission can be more concerned than the Board of Health because of the condition of our estuary and our ponds. So I don't think it's like out of line, but I feel like we should move on something like that, or at least give it good thought at our next business meeting, because we can change the regulations in short term. You know, we could have that done by September or October. And then we're not going to be in this position.
I really would appreciate that. And I really appreciate you putting it in such a way where I just am no longer have to just be an asshole.
Well, no, I don't think you're being an asshole. I think you're protecting our resources.
Right.
And we do have the authority to protect groundwater and water. So it's just that when it's not spelled out, people, I mean, well, you see the response we get. Nobody
exactly.
jump at it
Right.
because they're a good person. So we either require it and then you can ask for a variance to it if you don't want to do it. But to sort of, you know, try and convince these people to do the right thing doesn't really go good.
We're just opening
I
ourselves
agree
up
with you,
to,
Hillary, and I think it's an excellent idea.
Okay, so let's put that on our next business meeting for discussion, and I will look at in our regulations where we can insert it and see if we can at least get it scheduled for a public hearing and just move on it already.
Okay, and can I make a ironic comment?
Yes.
That in the last hearing, when we were talking about one thing, the argument was made, but this is a Wellfleet thing. Every house in Wellfleet has.
Yeah.
And then a few minutes later, it was like, well, we don't want to see the propane tank. And I almost said, it's a Wellfleet thing to see the propane tank.
And Hillary, can I ask one question delicately?
Yes.
Are we going to have a special meeting with the lawyer in light of certain sales?
Yeah, not that I've heard, I've only heard interest from one other realtor on the property, and I heard from the paper today. So I don't know, that's the newspaper. I don't know, but I did see there was another property for sale in the National Seashore at around the same going rate, so. We'll see what happens.
And did they get permission to fly a drone in the seashore for those pictures?
I am unaware of the answer to that.
Well, their assessed value is 4.5 million. So they only want $1 million more.
Well,
So,
they're setting the value, is what they're trying to do.
Right, of course.
I don't think that should be discussed.
I don't
you're right,
either.
you're right, sorry.
Can't slap my wrist.
so shall I
I've been
move?
trying to get this thing adjourned. I'm
Mhm.
open to a motion.
Right. Michael's about to make a motion.
I move that we adjourn.
I second.
Okay, Ben, what do you think about that?
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and I am so yes. So
Good meeting. Everybody was, very patient and wonderful. I appreciate everything you did.
well,
And if
and
anybody knows of anyone interested in joining the commission, do send them to me.
Yep. It can't be an asshole though.
I'm the only one allowed to do
Yes,
that.
we've got our one each issue.